is Jo Karen Hudson. I'll be talking about scientific notation in this video. Scientific notation is a way to express really big or really small numbers. Now, when we write numbers in scientific notation, we want to make sure that we have one digit to the left of the decimal point. And that one digit will be multiplied by a power of 10. So let's start with our first example. 7 million, we want to convert this to scientific notation, 7,287,000. Well, I will start by putting a caret. That's where the new decimal point is going to go. The original decimal point is at the end if it's not showing. I'll put a caret to the right of the first non-zero digit so that I have one digit to the left of the decimal point. So now I'm going to write 7.287 times 10. Let's see, if I count the places to get from the caret to the original decimal point, which is here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places to the right, so it would be 7.287 times 10 to the 6th, because I have to move the decimal 6 places to get it back to where it was. Example 2, negative 58,570. So I'm going to put my caret right here. That's where the new decimal point will go. The original was here. So I have negative 5.857. It's not necessary to write the extra zero in either spot. Negative 5.857. Let's see, how many times will I have to move it? 1, 2, 3, 4 times to the right to get to the original. So it would be times 10 to the 4th power. Now these are big numbers. Big numbers, and they have positive exponents. Example 3 and 4 are small numbers, and they'll have negative exponents. So I'm going to put the caret right here, and then it will take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movements to the left to get it into the original position. So we'll have 7.6 times 10, move it 5 times to the left to get it back to where it was, times 10 to the negative 5. And on example 4, I'm going to put the caret right here so that I'll have negative 2.087 times 10. I'll have to move it 1 place to the left to get it back to the original, so it would be times 10 to the negative 1. Now we want to change these numbers into decimal notation, which can also be called standard notation, writing it without exponents. So if I start with 7.3, I know I'm going to have to move the decimal 5 times to the right because of the 10 to the 5th. So here's one number I can move it past. So I'll have to add 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I will be able to move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times to the right. And the standard notation will be 730,000. Example 2. I have 9.324. I'm going to have to move the decimal 3 times to the left to get it into standard or decimal notation. Here's one number I can move it past. I'll have to add 2 zeros so that I will be able to move it 3 times. So moving it once, twice, 3 times, it will be 0.009,324. And scientists like to see a leading zero. If you forget to type that in My Math Lab, I think it will give you credit for it either way. But get in the habit for your science classes of writing a leading zero. Example 3, negative 8.75 times 10 to the 0. 10, the 0 power indicates that we will not be moving the decimal point. We'll be moving it 0 times. You remember that 10 to the 0 is equal to 1. And so this will just turn into negative 8.75. There will not be necessary to move the decimal point. Example 4, 5.56 times 10 to the negative 7 indicates that I will be moving the decimal 7 times to the left. Here's the first time. I'm going to have to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros to be able to move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. So in standard notation or decimal notation, it'll be point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros, 5, 5, 6, and I will add the leading 0 in the front. Now we want to multiply and write the result in scientific notation and in standard notation. And I will show you how to do part of this on the calculator, but not all because it takes so long to type into the calculator. 3.2 times 3. I'm going to use the calculator in order to multiply the 3.2 times 3. And that'll give me 9.6. So that I'll have 9.6 times 10. When we have like bases, we add the exponents, would be 10 to the negative 7. Now the negative 7 indicates that I'll be moving the decimal 7 times to the left. This is scientific notation, 9.6 times 10 to the negative 7, but for the standard notation, I'll have to move the decimal 7 times to the left. So I have 9.6. I'm going to have to add 6 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so that I can move the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. So in standard notation, it'll be point. I'm going to have 6 zeros, 9, 6, and I'm going to put the leading 0 in the front. Now on this one, I'm going to show you how to get it into scientific notation on the calculator. I'm going to do it by hand, and then I'll show you how to do it on the calculator. I won't be able to get it back into standard notation because there's too many digits, but I'll show you how to do that on example 2 of the division. So when I multiply the 6 times the 7, I get 42 times 10 to the, when I add the exponents, I'll have 10 to the 10th. And you see that one doesn't come out in standard notation, in scientific notation, because we have to have one digit to the left of the decimal point. In order to get it, and this is a little more complicated, but in order to get it in scientific notation, I'll have to move the decimal so that it'll be there, so that I have one digit to the left of the decimal point. So it would be 4.2 times 10 to the first power. To get it back to 42, would have to move it 1 to the right, times 10 to the 10th, which would be 4.2 times 10 to the 11th. Now, I can show you, if I put it in mode, and I want it to be in scientific notation, I'll move over here to the Sci mode, using the right arrow, and then I'll press enter, and it will stay in Sci mode. So I'm going to put second quit to get back to the typing screen. So I'm going to type this in here. You have to be careful when you're typing into this calculator in scientific notation. 6 times 10 raised to the 7th. Now you'll have to use the right arrow to get it back down. And then we're multiplying 7 times 10 raised to the 3rd. Use the right arrow to get the parenthesis back down. And then we ought to come out with scientific notation. Now you see what it reads. it actually reads 4e to the 11. That e to the 11 means times 10 to the 11. It tells you the exponent to put on 10. So this is scientific notation. It's actually too many digits uh, to get that, to use the calculator to get it back into standard notation. So I'm going to write down my 4.2, and I'm going to move the decimal 11 times. So I'll have to add 10 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so that I can move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times. So it would be 42 with 10 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if I put in my commas, it would actually, in standard notation, be 420 billion. Okay, let's look at the division. I will use my calculator to do 3.6 divided by 1.2, and that turns out to be 3, just 3, because it's times 10 to the 0, which would just be 3. Times 10, and you subtract the exponent, so you'll have 3 minus 4, which would give you 3 times 10 to the negative 1. So there it is in scientific notation. In order to get it in standard notation, I'll have to take that 3 and move the decimal 1 time to the left. So in standard notation, it would be 0.3. Now, example 2 is the last example on this section, and I will show you how to do it on the calculator both ways, from standard in scientific notation and in standard notation. So I'm going to divide 1.2 divided by 0.6, and that gives me 2. It gives me 2e0, which means times 10 to the 0, which just means times 1. So it is 2 times 10, and then I subtract the exponents. Negative 3 minus negative 2 would turn into 2 times 10 times negative 3 plus 2. These turn into plus, so that I have 2 times 10 to the negative 1. And that is scientific notation. The standard notation, I would take that 2 and move the decimal once to the left, so it would be 0.2. Okay, let's try this one on the calculator. You have to be very careful when you type it into the calculator. To me, it's almost more trouble than it's worth. But here goes. 1.2 times 10 raised to the negative 3. Right arrow gets the parenthesis in the right place. Divided by 0.6 times 10 raised to the negative 2. Right arrow, and then the parenthesis. Now, I want it in scientific notation. I've forgotten what mode it's in. Let's look. It is in the sci mode, so that's good. I'm going to second quit to get back to the screen. Hit enter, and you will get it in scientific notation. And there it is. Two, and the exponent on the 10 is that negative 1. 2 times 10 to the negative 1. Okay, now I want to get it back into standard notation, so I'm going to go to mode, and I'm going to hit the left arrow and get it back in the normal mode. See how it's blinking on normal? I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to hit second quit. And so I have 2 times 10 raised to the negative 1. Let me check the mode again, make sure it's in normal. It is in normal. Second quit. And when I hit enter, you see, it will give me 0.2. So you'll have to decide whether it's worth the trouble to use the calculator. This is Jo Karen Hudson. Thank you and have a wonderful day.